Hi guys, sorry, I had absolutely no idea that was recording. And this is my long-awaited return. I'm sure you've all been desperate for me to come back and make videos.
He's back!
Only not really. Basically the reason I've come back is I can't lie, I went off 40k for a little while, doing GCSEs, going into IB, doing loads of CAS, for those of you that don't know, that's like where you waste your life doing pointless activities just so you can pass a much more difficult version of an A-level, which you gain practically nothing, so you can see I've made the right choice. Anyway, enough about me, and more about the way I got back into it. I still listen to tournament podcasts, and I decided I want to start a new army. I went to a Games Workshop store. I said I want to start Orcs or Grey Knights. He taught me through a couple of the models, and I was like, yeah, I want to start Grey Knights. And I had a Wave Serpent I'd bought about 6 months ago in there. I was like, okay, I'll give the Wave Serpent back. Had about £12 on me. Bought 2 strike squads, built them up, and yeah, back to Warhammer, back to really getting into it.
And now he runs around screaming hashtag Ward for Life. And that's Ward for Life with an L-Y-F.
Of course it is. Right, on to the first unit I want to have a quick look at. I'm going to do it in order. Just like I did with the first Eldar breakdown, every single unit in proper depth with tactics. First I'll run him down, positives, negatives, tactics, judgment. So, without any further ado, Grandmaster. Okay, he has the same stat line as a captain or a chapter master, except he's got a 2+ save and ballistic skill 6. Argue whether that 1 point extra ballistic skill will be any use, but I'd rather have +1 than -1. Okay, he has Terminator Armor, Stormbolter, Nemesis Force Sword, Frag Grenades, Crack Grenades, Psych Out Grenades, and an Iron Halo. And for those of you who don't know, the Iron Halo gives him a 4+ save, but because he's got Nemesis Force Sword, he's on a 3+ save in close combat. So he actually has a 2+3+ for free. We can see the wardisms. What the hell have I done?
Type in my password.
Well done,
Yeah,
me.
he's not used to a Mac.
Well done, me. Right, okay. That's basically his war gear. Specials, the Aegis stops Psykers being as efficient against Grey Knights, which is great because it stacks with Deny the Witch, which all Grey Knights are Psykers, so you get good Deny the Witch, you get the Aegis, so Psykers aren't that effective against Grey Knights, and you've got your Psych Out Grenades, which is instant wound Psykers, so quite efficient stuff. A Nation Unknown Fair, we know what that does. Independent character, can join a squad. Preferred enemy demons, that'll be a common trend. And he's a Psycho Martial level 1 with the powers Hammerhand and Psychic Communication. But I'll do more about the powers.
Communication, it's Exocommunion.
No, Psychic Communication, Exocommunication is different power.
They changed it, wow.
No, they didn't. That's still a power.
Oh.
And Psychic Communication, as I said. Right, basically, his main special that attracts people to him is Grand Strategy. This works by the beginning of the game. You roll a d3, and you pick that many units. Basically, you then assign a special rule to the number of units that you rolled for. So at the beginning of the game, I roll a d3, I get 6, then 3 units get one of the 4 special rules below, and they all have to have the same rule, so I can't split the rules apart. Okay, Hammer of Righteousness, reroll 1s to wound. That's alright if you've got loads of Psy Cannons looking for the extra rendings, and anything that will generally wound on A2. It's not as efficient when you get to like things that will wound on 4s, because then 1 in 4 you'll be using it. So it's not my favourite, and it's not got that strong effect over the game on like ball control or objectives. But you know, it's not terrible, and I can certainly see people using it. You've got Shield of Blades, counter attack. I really like this one because you get bonus attacks. Especially built really assault-based army. Similar like Death God Assassins, Arco-Flagellants, Crusaders. It's the standard Grey Knights. You know, loads of assault stuff they've got. It can be quite useful. Make sure you've always got those bonus attacks. It's going to be a common trend retyping this in.
We'll do that every 2 minutes.
Right. I'll just keep moving this around. Okay, next one is Spear of Light. Units have Scout. Absolutely fantastic for getting into good positions early on in the game. I think a huge problem people have against armies like Tau and Eldar is that Eldar you can't outmaneuver them, and Tau they'll shoot you before they can get there. So just having that little bit of extra movement, especially if you have a Dread Knight, 3 Dread Knights let's say, and you roll a 5 or a 6, you then get to move them all 12 inches up the board. That is a huge scare if you opponent turn 1. And if you've got turn 1, they can then move 42 inches during turn 1, which is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, Final one, Unyielding Anvil. Basically, units and capture objectives. Everyone's favourite. Insanely overpowered. Means you get troops without paying for them. Means you can almost get 9 troops in an army at max if you've maxed out your troops. Yeah, works fantastically with Dread Knights, Interceptors, anything with a huge movement. So clearly, quite fantastic. Okay, but the main strength of the Grandmaster is not in his basic stats and war gear, which is good, but it's in clearly, as with most, like, you know, chapter masters, captains, it's what they can take that makes them. So we'll have a quick look. He's Master Level 2. He's 175 points, by the way, so incredibly well costed. He's a great unit Grandmaster. Okay, he's Master Level 2, 35 points. Okay, basically we're looking at 210 points then for a Mastery 2 Psycho who can kick ass in combat and is equipped with 1 million pieces of equipment. Yeah, clearly Master Level 2 is good. Sadly, you can't swap out for Divination, which is not good. So, you know, you're stuck with Hammer Hand Psychic Communication. But, you know, you've got your Force Sword to activate, bringing reserves in, augmenting reserves, getting high strength. So, I wouldn't recommend it, but I can see why people do it. It's not a stupid decision. Okay, you can replace the Stormbolter with Incinerator. Good for Overwatch. Good for clearing hordes. You don't see that many in the meta, but, you know, good for Tau Eldar killing, actually. Because, you know, you ignore their cover saves, they're behind the Aegis line. They've got low toughness, bad armor saves. It can work. Okay, Silencer, why would anyone do that? 35 points, it's a joke. The Incinerator is only 5 points and is actually a superior weapon. And then the one you'll see everyone taking is Psy Cannon. Yeah, just absolutely fantastic piece of kit. You know, you got your Strength 7, AP 4, Rending, basically does anything, a Psy Cannon. Psy Cannons are absolutely fantastic. I could see you taking them 45 points. If you want to be shooty with him, good range, sit at the back of the board. No faffing around. Okay, Nemesis Full Sword, can be placed with Halberd or Demon Hammer for 5 points.
No.
Meh. Falchions for 10 points, don't. They got FAQ to be absolutely dire. They do nothing. Literally nothing. And a Warding Stave for 35. I can see why you would do the Warding Stave quickly. Because, you know, you can get into these challenges like your Scarbrands, your Greater Demons, and you can say, I'm going to hold here for the entire game, and there's not much you can actually do about it. But it is a lot of points to... You're then putting 210 points in a lockdown, basically. So, it's not that I don't like it, it's that it's a lot of points for a tiny benefit. It's just +1 in the invulnerable save. Go with the hammer or the sword. Hammer, because it's a blooming hammer, concussive, tons of strength. You can pop vehicles with it with the hammer hand, your strength 10. Or the sword, because you get your 2+3+. That's why I stand on that. Okay, then you can also take blind grenades, melter bombs, digital weapons, cyber ammunition for 5 points. You can take any of those. I'd take probably melter bombs, because melter bombs are always good, and maybe blind grenades. They'd be the two I'm looking at. Cyber ammunition, 5 points to upgrade 1 bolter slightly is a bit, especially when you're probably going to replace it with an incinerator or Psy Cannon. Digital weapons, you can argue their effectiveness, but I think 5 points, boys over toys, it's just a general rule with Grey Knights, and I think you should probably try and stick to it. Empyrean Brain Mines for 10 points. These are absolutely fantastic if the Tyranids or the Orcs become good. I think you'll see so many Empyrean Brain Mines, it will become ridiculous. But for the time being, don't bother. Psychojet Rad Grenades, 15 points each. I suggest you take 1 of them. Psychochoke if you want to kill the unit before you get into it. Or Rad if you just want a complete pain in the ass. I'd take Rad if I were you, because if you strength 10 with the Demon Hammer, you can basically, anything toughness 6 or below, you can instant kill it. Why would you not want to do that? Orbital Strike Relay, don't. A static Grandmaster is a useless Grandmaster. It's inaccurate, ineffective, and pretty overpriced. And you can make any weapon Master Crafted. Okay, I can't believe I said that badly. Master Crafted. 5 points, yeah. If you've got a Psy Cannon, or... yeah, definitely Master Craft it. Because for 5 points, you just make it that much more efficient. And probably I would go and Master Craft a Demon Hammer, not a Full Sword. That's probably where I stand on that. Okay, overall, the plus points of the Grandmaster are that he's ridiculously flexible. He can be a close combat monster. He can be very efficient shooting unit. Grand Strategy is a very powerful rule. Just want to say that. It can really augment your force so your opponent does not see it coming. He thinks you've got 2 squads of 5 strike marines, and he goes, oh, I've defeated you, I'll kill your troops. And then all of a sudden, you've got 2 Grandmasters, wallop, the whole army's a troop, and then he's really panicking. I think he's probably one of the best special rules in the whole book, so that's an advantage of him. He's got a 2+3+ for 175 points. He's so underpriced, it's a little bit silly. You can certainly see the wardisms slipping through with someone like a Grandmaster. But yeah, I am a fan. We'll put it that way. What about the negative points? Okay, he's not an Eternal Warrior, so multi-guns can instant kill him. And outside combat, you're only looking at a 4-up save. His stat line is okay. And he can't take on the big boys in close combat, that's a fact. He's only initiative 5. I mean, when you look at the top close combat units, they will probably make mincemeat out of him. But that's not to say he's not good. Ironically, the only disadvantage of the Grandmaster is that he is sadly in the Grey Knight Codex, which is full of ridiculously powerful units. You'll see the HQ is a very compacted section of very strong units. Okay, finally, how would I run him? Oh no, penultimately, how would I run him? I would not bother with the Master level. I'd either go with just a Psy Cannon and a Master Crafted Psy Cannon, by the way, and just sit him at the back. Just basically, and, oh, Servo Skulls, I didn't talk about Servo Skulls, yeah, I'd always take 2 Servo Skulls. I'd either sit him at the back with a Psy Cannon, Master Crafted version, and 2 Servo Skulls, join him with a unit, use his grand strategy just to, basically improve your assault units going forward, or add some troops at the back. Let's say you've got a unit of Purifiers. No, bloody fires. Yeah, Purifiers is a great example. We don't want to play the Crotax. Actually, I've accidentally given you a good example. Or Purgation Squads. Sitting at the back with their Psy Cannons. 4 Psy Cannons, he provides number 5. Really amazing bastion of firepower. And then you just make them troops. They're capturing an objective at the same time. So yeah, that's another way of running. Or go, pardon me, for the assault version, I'd probably either stick the sword or demon hammer, definitely mastercraft them. I'd go with an incinerator, I'd have rad grenades, I'd have blind grenades, and I'd have melter bombs. And I think that going into assault would very much scare your opponent. Because there's not many things that can stand up to that much abuse. Especially when you're running him with something like a Vindicare Assassin, who's simultaneously taking your opponent's invulnerable saves away from him, just as your Grandmaster goes in and absolutely obliterates the unit. So yeah, overall, I am a fan. Carlos, how the hell do I make this missile? Oh, I've just pressed the button wrong. Congratulations, me. Right. Okay, it's my first video back for a little while. My overall grading of...
First time ever using a Mac?
Correct.
Which is why you have no idea what you're doing.
I will try and make a couple of videos tonight because I am really slow uploading, typically for me. I'll record about 50 videos and then by the time I get around to uploading them, I just can't be bothered to wait the upload time. But yeah, my overall grade of this guy is a seriously solid 9, 8 to 9. I think in another codex, he'd probably be a 9 to 9.5, but because there's so much good stuff, I'll give him an 8 to 9 of should you take him. One last note, if you do take him, make sure you build the army around him. His grand strategy is a rule of such magnitude that you can't afford to take it nonchalantly and go at the beginning of the game, oh, where am I going to throw grand strategy? Oh, they'll have it. You want to go, when I get a 1, he's having it. When I get a 2, him and him is having it. And when I get a 3, him and him is having it. And that's how we're running the army. Okay, as I've finished every video in the good old days, this is Warhammer Morton, and I am out.